Hello, this is John Armwood on the Armwood Opinion channel here on YouTube. We're talking today about the crisis in Central America, which has been made an issue by the Trump administration as refugees seek asylum at the border between the United States and Mexico. The Trump administration illegally has tried to stop asylum seekers from entering the U.S., and the federal courts have said that he cannot do that. As a result, there are these large detention centers at the border near El Paso, Texas, and other border areas where refugees and refugee families are being held in pretty bad conditions, inhumane conditions. We know that in recent months that 2 children have died in U.S. custody. And the New York Times reported today that there are illnesses and diseases spreading, chickenpox among others, and that even U.S. border agents have contracted illnesses because of the inhumane conditions in these refugee camps. The Trump administration has cut back financing for these centers and has focused all of its efforts at detaining people as a deterrent to keep people coming from Central America. And in fact, it has had a reverse effect, because what's happened is people who were planning to flee have fled in greater numbers because of reports that the border was being sealed. And we know that in the past 2 weeks, Donald Trump said he was planning to seal the border with Mexico. And of course, American businesses who do business with Mexico were not going to stand for that foolishness. So he immediately backed down once business interests in this country said no. But real people are being hurt. There is a crisis in Central America. There's political instability there that goes back for years. In particular, during the late 70s, but the 80s, during the Reagan administration, there were wars in El Salvador and Nicaragua, which were funded by the United States. You remember the Iran-Contra scandal, some of you do, where the Reagan administration was caught selling, in the early 80s, arms to Iran so it could illegally get around Congress's prohibition on it funding the Contras who were fighting the government of Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua. Well, all of that instability in that region, as wars always do, have an impact which ripples through the years. And political instability breeds a vacuum where criminals come in. Then with the impact of climate change, we're having major problems with the growing of traditional staples of the area. Corn, it's called maize, and potatoes. There was a report on NPR News today talking about how bad conditions are for small subsistence farmers in Guatemala and other countries in Central America, which is pushing them to leave because of the fungus, etc., and other plant-eating diseases and fungi that are attacking them as a result of climate change or global warming. This is the result of actions taken by industrialized countries like the United States. And the Trump administration is refusing to address this issue. It's refusing even to acknowledge it. There are a large amount of Americans who actually sit and say that global warming is not happening, that we are not impacting the climate. This level of ignorance is a large part of what the problem is. And the ignorance is largely driven by short-term economic interests. They are afraid that their pocketbooks may be hurt. They won't be able to make as much money as they have in the past because by exploiting our environment, they have become wealthy. The auto industry needs to move to electric cars. We need to have stricter fuel standards. We need carbon taxes. And we need to actively help countries that we have hurt by our lack of stewardship of the ecosystem that we all live in. These countries haven't done this. This has been done by the United States, the largest carbon emitter in the world until recently, where China has taken over from us and being the largest carbon emitter. And we have not done our fair share to stop it, to stop the damage that we have done. As a result, we have people pouring to the southern border. And with Trump's racist comments continually being spewed toward Hispanics at the South, people are scared. And they're trying to get in here before they can't. In fact, there have been radio programs, NPR said, that were being broadcast in Guatemala talking about how important it is for people to come now before the border is closed. These type of statements that the President Trump is making are idiotic. They're stupid. They cause people's lives to be endangered. We must do something about this. Please write your congressperson, whoever he or she may be, write your senators. We need demonstrations in Washington. We need demonstrations in local cities saying that this type of inhumane behavior, illegal behavior, the courts have ruled what the Trump administration has been doing is illegal. It has to stop. It has to stop now. And the only people who can stop it are us. People will look back at us and ask, what did you do? But what this administration is doing is very similar in many ways to what the Jackson administration did almost 200 years ago when it relocated the Cherokee from the Carolinas and North Georgia to Oklahoma. And over 10,000 people died. This type of disregard for masses of human beings is a crime. Our closing of the borders are similar to what happened in World War II when the United States turned away a ship carrying hundreds of Jews fleeing from the horrors of Nazi Germany, many of whom died as a result of American indifference. As we ask what those people were doing back then, people will ask of us. We know where Donald Trump stands. He ran for office saying that people from Mexico, south of our border, were nothing but criminals and rapists. This is just like his father, who was arrested in 1927 for marching and demonstrating and causing a ruckus at a Ku Klux Klan rally in Queens, New York, protesting Catholics coming to this country. His own father being an immigrant who had come from Germany via Canada. Trump's mother was an immigrant, but from Scotland. The only difference is his parents and grandparents were white. He does not want brown people in America, just like he didn't want brown and black people in his housing, in the apartment buildings owned by he and his father. And that's why he was brought to court in the 70s. We're dealing with evil here. America, we have to answer to history, and we will be judged harshly for our refusal to deal with this man. We need to press the House of Representatives to start impeachment proceedings no matter what the political cost. Pelosi is looking out for her own behind and her own position. We have to build momentum. The only way we do that is by moving now. Time is running out. People are dying. We know of at least 2 children who have died in U.S. custody as a result of these policies. How many more have to die before we take action? And we know more have died in U.S. custody and of many, many more outside of U.S. custody. Even custom agents are getting sick from chickenpox and other diseases at these horrible detention centers, which is nothing but a fancy word for concentration camps where the detainees are being kept. People who are legally applying for admission to the United States. This is horrendous. And I'm going to leave you guys, right now. And I hope that you think about it. I hope that you take action about it, because this is a horrendous action being taken by the present administration, and we, the American people, have a duty, an obligation, a moral duty to do something about it. Check the like box if you like this video. Subscribe to this channel, but most of all, take action now. Tomorrow is too late. The Trump administration must go. We must get these criminals out of office.